Some of you don't know this, but I actually used to sell PCs quite a bit on Craigslist. Actually, when the channel was very young, when we weren't getting products sent for free for review by companies like Gigabyte, Asus, what have you, case manufacturers like Fractal Design here, I had to buy all this stuff out of pocket because they didn't know who I was. I didn't expect them to. We had like, 100 subs. So when I would build a PC like this for say $400 or $500, I'd list it on Craigslist for a modest price, maybe like $550, maybe like a 10% markup, usually no more than that unless it was a really expensive build. And then I would essentially flip the PC and then move on to another build. And I'd take that $550, build something with totally different components, get to test those on the channel, sell that, try something new again with the small profit I made on that one as well. So I know my way around a Craigslist ad when it comes to PCs. That's why I feel confident with the Craigslist series that we post on the channel. But I want to show you in this video how to properly sell a PC. If you're having trouble selling the one that you have currently listed, maybe these pointers will help. It's extremely important that you, one, take good quality pictures. I'm not asking you to go out and buy a $3,000 DSLR mirrorless camera. That would make no sense. Just use your camera phone. Most modern phones have decent cameras packed into them. Most of them have AI or some software that's gonna make the picture look a little more crispy than normal because the sensors are pretty small, and that's really all you need to do. Also, take a lot of pictures. The more the merrier. It tells the buyer that you, again, have nothing to hide and that you're forthcoming about the PC itself and that you're confident that it's a good system. That said, a pet peeve of mine is when people post ads for systems like these and don't actually include pictures of the product they're trying to sell. Instead, they'll show screenshots from Amazon or Newegg of the parts included in the build. That tells the buyer one of two things. Either one, your build looks like trash and you're trying to hide it, or two, you haven't actually built the system yet, you're trying to fulfill the orders as they come in, and that's not an effective way to advertise a PC build. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, Greg, how can you say photos are the most important aspect of a Craigslist ad? Wouldn't it be the title or the price? Those two have a lot of weight. That's true, but humans are visual creatures, and I can tell you when I see a title and a price tag, I want to look to photos for validation. If you don't have that validation, the title and the price are meaningless. Now when it comes to the title, keep things short and sweet. I see so many people trying to overcomplicate this, put some huge paragraph in the title section of their ad, something along the lines of extreme gaming PC or best gaming PC you'll ever see or best value gaming PC on Craigslist. Don't do stuff like that. We don't care. We just want to know what it is you're trying to advertise. The title can be a short and sweet hook, something like 1080p gaming rig. Boom. That's all they need to know. You're not trying to hide anything. You're not trying to pass it off as something that it isn't. Just keep it short and sweet. I recommend putting the gaming resolution, the recommended gaming resolution for your system in the title because a lot of people want to know up front what kind of performance they should expect for the price that you're asking. So in this case, I'm going to do just that. I'm going to call this a 1080p gaming rig. Next up, we've got to think about price. What should we ask for said system? In this case, this whole thing cost me out of pocket about $500, and I don't expect people are going to pay $1,000 for a Core i5-3470 rig. It's not gonna happen. Even if I put something like a GTX 1070 or 1080 in here, people understand for the most part that older platforms are limiting in the sense that you can't really upgrade much without completely switching platforms. In this case, that requires buying DDR4, a new motherboard, and a new CPU, and most people who are willing to buy gaming PCs on Craigslist are probably not going to want to take up that mantle anytime soon. So I'm realistic when I approach the pricing aspect, and I try not to ask any more than about 10% above what it cost me to build. I know 10% is kind of a vague markup, but honestly, it just doesn't make sense to charge more than that. It wouldn't make sense for me to charge even $650 for this. Again, because the platform is so old, despite having a relatively modern card in here and a modern case, it's certainly presentable to an extent, but it's not worth $700. I wouldn't pay that. I wouldn't expect anyone else to pay that. So for the sake of a quick sale and a quick profit, I would say $550 for this system is a fair offer. Whether or not you want to haggle after the fact is a separate issue. I'll leave that up to you, but I just, again, don't recommend you take a loss. If you have to break even, that's fine, just to move through inventory, but I don't recommend, taking $400 for this. It just wouldn't make sense. You'd be losing money for what? The sake of building PCs? I don't enjoy doing it that much. Next up, let's talk description. What should you include? First off, a list of every single part. I don't fault anybody, at least I try not to, for listing individual components in their builds, in their ads. That's expected. I want you to do that. I don't want any surprises when I show up to buy your PC. What I don't want you to do is list retail prices for those parts, maybe what you paid for it. I don't care to know that, right? I care about the price now, I care about the inherent value I see in used components, and I don't want you to try to justify your price by listing retail prices. Spoiler, when you buy something, it's not new anymore. The next chunk of information I suggest you include in your description is what kind of stuff you do on a daily basis with your PC. It just helps you be a little more friendly and human to the potential buyer, and it could give them an idea of the potential use cases for that system. If, let's say, you play World of Warcraft a ton on this PC and you can do it in high or max settings in 1080p, that's something I would list. You're not misleading somebody, you're telling them exactly what you do. Don't lie about it, because when they buy it and find out they can't do that, you're gonna have issues of your own to deal with. What I suggest doing is just listing out your uses. Maybe you video edit on it. Doesn't mean it has to be the best video editing machine out there, but just tell them what you do with it, because it, again, makes you seem a little more personable and it can help a potential sale. The last thing that I recommend you include in your ad's description are your expectations for the sale. What I mean by that is where you expect to meet, whether or not you're considering negotiations or trades, and your contact information, so how they can reach out to you regarding the ad in question. Now, the first bit is extremely important because it concerns the seller's credibility. If the buyer gives you cash for a PC that he or she didn't test, takes it back to his or her house, powers everything up or attempts to, and finds out that the computer doesn't work, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Potentially legally, you could be taking a small claims court over a misleading ad, right? You sold me a PC that you said works, but actually doesn't, right? And you'll probably lose. I'm not a lawyer, but I would say you'd probably lose that small claims case. You don't wanna have to deal with any of that mess, trust me. So instead, find a way to let that person test the PC or the component so that you have peace of mind and so that you know that buyer can't come back and say you misled them. I know it's difficult to do with something as large as the PC, whether that means inviting a stranger into your home, which I don't really recommend, especially if you live in a sketchy part of a neighborhood, or just going to Starbucks, setting up an entire desktop right there in the shop. I don't know if you could get away with that. Depends on the employee, probably depends on the store, but that's another option. There are a few places in public that you could probably get away with this, but it's worth a shot, right? And it's something that I don't think you should take lightly. Try your best to let the buyer test the system. I cannot stress that enough. Just for your sake, for the sake of court fees and all that other crap you might have to deal with in the future, let them test the PC. So that's it. This is the ad, and I intend to sell local here on Craigslist. I don't want anyone who watches this video to go and find it. The number I have included there is a burner number, so don't try to contact that. I'm just gonna end up changing it later on. It's just gonna be a big waste of time for you and me, frankly. Yeah, I will follow up in probably a tweet. I don't know if I'll make a full-on video on it, but I'll let you know when I ended up selling this system for. I don't think I'm gonna haggle too much because $550 is pretty much, that's almost what I paid for it. I paid about $500 for everything in there. So yeah, I could have done better with the price of the used components in there, but I still think it's a decent system for $550, seeing as though, based on this video, it can run pretty much anything we throw at it at least 60 FPS in medium to high settings in 1080p and even 1440p depending on the bottleneck situation. So if you guys like this video, appreciate the tips, let me know by giving some a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thumbs down for the opposite of where you hate everything about life. You can do that as well. You can click that red subscribe button if you haven't already. Become a member if you're feeling especially fancy, and I'll catch you in the next one. This is Science Studio. Thanks for watching, and thanks for learning with us.